I think it's about putting the fundamentals in place, establishing long-term objective. Like, for example, when I started investing, I wanted to buy time. So my goal back then was that as long as my cash flow is greater than, say, 8,000 ringgit per month, then I'm able to basically retire and focus on what I really like doing instead of working. If you're buying one condo for one kid, university fund, then it gives you a lot more different perspective and a lot more different in terms of how you approach the investment, because you never bought it for speculative purchases. You know for a fact, I bought this 300,000 condo over 20 years. When my kid is ready, I can sell off the condo and I can use the fund to fund his education, a good education overseas. So that's very different. And then, of course, second thing is that you need to understand your own risk appetite and which property class that best suits your objective and risk. This is crucial because I've seen a lot of people giving a wrong advice out there as of today. They talk to fresh graduates, people with 3,000 salary, 4,000 salary, and telling them to go and buy shop lot, which I don't think is the right thing to do, right? And when the students say, I can't afford a $1 million shop lot, it's okay. Pull with a few strangers and share and buy. So I think these are basically very harmful advice, very, very wrong advice, because these strategies only work in a bull market. In a bull market, everybody makes money. All right, even the bears make money. But the problem is that these guys are putting these guys as pigs. The pigs are the one which is going to get slaughtered. So, these are my favorite quotes. So we need to understand own risk appetite. If you don't I think that if you're Chinese, you've heard of this saying: if you don't have a big head, don't wear a big hat. Very similar. Yeah, if you're starting out small, if you're a fresh grad, 3,000-4,000 salary, don't buy anything above 200,000, 300,000. Go slow and then understand the game first before you put a lot of investments into it. And then, of course, the second thing is that putting plan into action. Before you buy or sell a property, you ask yourself the golden question. The golden question is this: you set your long-term objective. Let's say I want to build a 1 million portfolio for my kids' education. Before you buy and sell a property, you ask yourself this question: how does buying this property help me achieve this objective of making or building a $1 million portfolio in 20 years' time for my kids, right? So these are long-term questions you need to ask. Every time you buy or sell something, you ask this question. Then you will think very differently. Yeah? And then anytime to me is a good time to buy, even in the worst of time. Okay, not just good times or not just bad times. Anytime. I'll give you an example. 2009 was a global economic crisis. People are very scared to buy, but that was the best time to buy. And I recall I bought about 5 properties, I think, that year alone, simply because the prices was a lot more reasonable. Like, for example, TT Wangsa Central, I bought for next to monorail and LRT, literally 2 minutes walk for 250,000 3-bedroom unit, right? So, and then Tropics, it was only 250 something thousand on top of a completed shopping mall, but those prices are only available during when people are not buying. So don't wait. As long as you can find a good property that fits your objective, I think you should just pull the trigger, as long as fundamentals are solid. Now, and then as of today, if you ask me tips on what to look for, I would basically, as I always do, I don't have a big, golden, steel balls. I'm very conservative, by the way. I only go for things that I'm very, very sure that I'm going to make very good money out of, and then for very little risk. So I believe older properties are your best bet as of today, because valuation-wise, it's still a lot more reasonable than the new under construction properties. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me to see, for example, in OUG, developers asking price for under construction unit is going for about close to 500 per square foot, but an older development next door is going for less than 200 per square foot. doesn't make sense. So for me, the gap is too big, and I would rather bet on the old one, instead of the new one. And then of course, lastly is to go mass. This is simply aim for mass market properties. I don't believe in, I personally, it's not I don't believe, I would say it's less riskier to go for mass market properties that a lot of people can afford. It's very simple. Yeah? If you only go for $2 or $3 million property portfolio, there's only a few people, handful of people, who can afford $2-3 million property. Yeah? But a 200,000 property, I think a lot of people can afford. Yeah, so that's what I mean by go mass market. Okay, this is talking about strategy. Landlording, I think is very straightforward. I just like to touch, in the event of a crisis, normally for mass market property, demand actually go up. Okay, in a crisis, borrowings are hard to obtain. People will find it very difficult to buy a house. Yeah, secure borrowing, even though if your security is key, because banks are just too scared to borrow you any money. You know what they say about banks, right? It's like they give you an umbrella when it's not raining, but the moment it rains, thunder and storm, they take the umbrella off you. So, that's why I said don't wait. Don't wait until crisis only to go and buy now while everything is still okay, as long as fundamentally. So, but being a landlord obviously has its benefits. In a crisis, when you are a landlord, even a good landlord, you know how to secure tenant very quickly. You basically have higher bargaining power. Think it this way: if you are buying a $500,000 property and your monthly installment is $2,500, it's not a problem for you when you can rent it out for $3,000 per month. But if you can't rent out the property, after 6 months, you will start sweating really. Oh shit, nobody is renting my property. Every month I bleed $2,500 per month, and then you see your table and your office, one by one your colleagues will be getting the pink slip. So it's not going to be very pretty. So it's very easy for us to get into this emotional state whereby, hey, I probably need to let go of this property irrespective of the price. In the event of something happens to me and my job. So if your property is tenanted, you're not worried, simply because, hey, people pay for me, no big deal. So you have a longer staying power, you have a higher bargaining power, and you're never going to be in a desperate position to sell. And then of course, as long as you can rent your property for a decent cash flow, tenancy income is also part of your income, right? If your tenancy is $2,000 per month and you make $5,000 per month, the income recognized by the bank, provided you can prove both incomes, is $7,000. Right? That simply allows you to buy more property. Okay? So this is what a lot of people don't realize when they buy under construction property. The under construction properties, while it has its appeal, but at the same time, it will also restrict you from making your next move. So, some of the skills that you need to learn as far as landlording is concerned to ensure that low vacancy period, and then of course finding good tenants. You can only do that when you understand what the market wants, okay, for that particular property. So that's landlording. And then, I say, getting network